Loyalty without leverage. The sun was dipping below the skyline of the city, casting long, golden shadows across the brickwork of the neighborhood. Jamal arrived first at the Cornerstone, a quiet bar where the music was low and the conversation was always high. He found a booth in the back, spreading a notebook across the worn wood. Moments later, Kevin walked in, checking his watch with a grin. They shook hands, the kind of firm grip that shared years of history and a common hunger for change. Soon, the heavy front door creaked open again, admitting Aisha and Marcus. Aisha carried the energy of the courtroom she had just left, her eyes sharp and observant. Marcus followed, his presence calm but his mind clearly racing with the day's events. They slid into the booth opposite Jamal and Kevin, the circle of friends beginning to close. The air between them hummed with the weight of things left unsaid during the busy work week. The last to arrive was Ronnie, who didn't just enter a room, he occupied it. He dropped a stack of campaign flyers onto the table, the glossy paper reflecting the overhead lights. "Everyone's talking about the big vote," Ronnie said, his voice a low rumble. Jamal looked at the flyers, then up at his friend. "Voting is the start, Ronnie," Jamal said quietly. "But we need to talk about what comes after the ballot is cast." Aisha leaned forward, her elbows on the table. "We've been loyal to the process for generations," she said, looking at Kevin. "But loyalty alone hasn't fixed the potholes in our streets or the gaps in our schools." Kevin nodded, his expression darkening. "We show up every time they call," Kevin replied. "We give them our trust, but we rarely see the receipt for that transaction." Jamal tapped his notebook, where he had written a single sentence in bold ink. He turned it so Marcus could see. "Loyalty without leverage is just begging," Jamal stated. Marcus stared at the words, the harsh truth of them sinking in. "If they know they have our vote no matter what," Marcus whispered, "they have no reason to earn it. We aren't partners. We're just a predictable statistic." Ronnie frowned, crossing his arms. "So what is leverage then? Is it just staying home?" Aisha shook her head quickly. "No, leverage is the power to say, if you don't do this, then we do that. It's having our own infrastructure so we aren't dependent on their crumbs." Ronnie looked at her, the gears turning. "It's about being able to walk away from a bad deal," he realized. Kevin and Marcus began to brainstorm, their voices rising with a new kind of excitement. "Leverage means owning the grocery stores," Kevin said, gesturing to the window. "It means building our own credit unions," Marcus added. They weren't just talking about politics anymore. They were talking about community scaffolding. They realized that power wasn't just granted at a podium. It was grown in the soil of their own streets. Jamal looked at Aisha, the two of them seeing the broader picture. "We need a collective agenda," Jamal said. "A list of demands that we all agree on. If a candidate wants our loyalty, they have to sign on to our plan first." Aisha smiled, a sharp, knowing look. "Exactly. We stop asking for permission to exist and start setting the terms for our participation." Ronnie turned to Kevin, his previous skepticism replaced by a sense of mission. "I've spent years begging for change," Ronnie admitted, his voice steady. "I'm tired of being a beggar." Kevin clapped him on the shoulder. "We all are, brother. From now on, we don't just give our loyalty away for free. We trade it for progress, or we keep it for ourselves." As the group finally rose to leave, the flyers on the table remained, but they looked different now, less like a solution and more like a tool. Jamal and Ronnie walked out into the cool night air. The city was still the same, but the way they looked at it had shifted. "Tomorrow we start drafting the agenda," Jamal said. Ronnie nodded, looking toward the horizon. "Tomorrow," he agreed. "We stop begging and start building."